this, and your index finger and the thumb of the other thing from the bottom to the top, palpate this and look for fluctuation, okay, for the individual joints, and for the metacarpophalangeal joint by this way or by this way with the other hand, of course. And in the palpation of the joint, if the joint has a swelling, if the joint has a swelling, you have to say, this swelling is bony, or due to synovial swelling, or due to fluid. If it's bony, it might be a osteophyte and it will be hard. If it is synovitis, it will be soft, but on fluctuation, the fluctuation will be negative. But if it's soft and there's positive fluctuation, it means it's an effusion. The important thing not to miss is that the metacarpophalangeal joint, when palpation of the metacarpophalangeal joint, you might think that there is a swelling, but it might be a dislocation, and this is a misleading. The joint will be like this. You think there's a swelling, but you palpate, there will be no swelling, no softness, nothing. Okay, in this case it might be because of the dislocation. Then we are going to palpate the other joints and the wrist joint for subluxation, usually anterior subluxation in rheumatoid arthritis. After palpation of the joints, we are going to palpate the muscle for the muscle bulk, for any wasting, and the tendon thickening. After palpation, we are going to start the movement. First thing, ask the patient to do active movements. Ask the patient to do the prayer sign, in which the angle should be, the angle between the hand and the forearm should be 90 degrees. Then the reverse of it, and the angle in the same method should be 90 degrees. And then ask the patient to make a fist and look for any space that's not filled with the fingers, and the fingers should point to the scaphoid process. All the fingers should point to the scaphoid process. Okay, if there is a rotation like this, there might be phalangeal fracture. Okay, and then ask the patient to open his hand and extend his fingers as much as he can and look for any restriction of these. Now we are going to assess the muscles and the tendons. For assessing the muscles and the tendons, we are going to assess the muscle and tendons of the extensor digitorum, and this is done by this way. Ask the patient to elevate, active movement, and then against resistance. Then the extensor digitorum, extensor pollicis longus, by this way, and then by resistance. And the extensor carpi radialis and extensor carpi ulnaris by this way, and against resistance. Now we are going to assess the flexors of the fingers. Flexor digitorum profundus for the metacarpophalangeal joint and proximal interphalangeal and distal interphalangeal joint. Flexor digitorum profundus for the distal interphalangeal joint, and flexor digitorum superficialis for the proximal interphalangeal joints and the metacarpophalangeal joints. Then we are going to assess each finger apart. After that, we are going to assess the flexion of the thumb by this way and by this way. Then we are going to assess the abduction of the thumb, which is done by the palmar interossi, and this abduction of the thumb by like this way. But to assess the power of it, you have to ask the patient to hold the paper like this, and you hold it with your other hand, and it should be an abduction, not overlapping. Okay, and pull it and assess each finger apart. And also don't forget the adductor of the thumb, and the abduction should be like this, not like this, like this. And assess its power. After the adduction, we are going to assess the abduction. The abduction of the thumb will be by putting the hand of the patient on the table with the palm up, and ask the patient to elevate the thumb up. There will be abduction and against resistance. And then we are going to assess the opposition of the thumb, ask the patient to hold its fingers one by one, and then against resistance. And the same manner on the other hand. Now we are going to go for the examination of the nerves. In the examination of the nerves, the C6 supplies this part of the hand, this part supplied by the C7, and this part supplied by the C8. This part by the C8. And then in the dermatomes, roughly the ulnar nerve supplies this region, the median nerve supplies this region, which is the 2.5 fingers, and 3.5 fingers, and 1.5 fingers the ulnar nerve, and 3.5 fingers for the median nerve. Okay, and the radial nerve supplies this region. Now we are going to assess the muscular function or the motor function of the nerves. The median nerve, it supplies the thinner muscles of the hand and the first two lumbricals. The thinner muscles of the hand are the abductor pollicis and the flexor pollicis and the opponent's pollicis, and this is assessed by first thing abduction of the thumb and opposition with the resistance, as we just mentioned. And then we are going to check for the ulnar nerve. The ulnar nerve supplies all the muscles of the hand except the thinner muscles and the first lumbricals. So the ulnar nerve will supply the palmar interossi, which do adduction, and will do that.